slipping under the water. Autumn brings a song like the birds in the morning that linger, and I don't
Look at the baby.
wanna sing
Baby.
my
Look what this
songs to the
baby.
wall for much longer.
Yes,
I don't wanna hear your lipstick talk for even longer. Though I am afraid, I have made a life worth taking. Though I...
Okay, here we go. I'm sure there's a few here that I read actually in 2022, but I can't remember. It's hard to remember. So I'll try to run through them as quickly as possible, because there are some that I read on my Kindle and books also that I gave away to other people to read that I don't have with me right now. So I remember I read this in January 2023. The Secret History. So good. 5 stars. Tomorrow. I do think this was overhyped by TikTok. It's about friendship, love, loss. It is still a good story, so I'd give it 4 stars. It's worth a read, but I do think it was overhyped. I don't want to say that it lived up to the expectation, because it didn't. Then Braiding Sweetgrass. If you love nature, if you care about the planet, even if you don't and you want to get into it, Braiding Sweetgrass is such a nice depiction of nature and how we're so out of tune with the world that goes on around us. It really changes your perspective on things. It is a book that will stay with you forever, I think. Trespass is a story of a woman who has it's kind of a love story. Of a woman living during the Troubles. Heartbreaking. Really good. 5 stars. My Brilliant Friend, I wasn't able to finish. I thought it was really slow, so I only give it 3 stars. Mother Thing, I'm obviously a psychopath because I thought this was romantic. It's literally a horror novel, but I loved it. I thought it was really funny, a really entertaining, satirical horror romance novel. I give this 5 stars. Really good, actually. Read after my breakup. So funny. Such a good writer. 5 stars. Anyone going through a breakup, such an easy read. You'll fucking fly through it. If you have a 3-hour flight or bus journey or whatever, you'll fly through that, no problem. Really good if you wanted to start a book club. I think this would be such a good starter book to read, because there's so much to talk about and everyone can kind of relate to it. Well, most women I think can relate to it. You know, your demise into insanity after you go through a breakup. Rachel Cusk, A Life's Work. I think Rachel Cusk depicts matry sense so well in like a non sort of lectury, judgmental way. It's not scientific. It's only based off of her feeling and her experience. So that's why I really like it. Yeah, she just talks about the differences between, or the disparity between men and women and their experience of becoming a parent in a really honest and candid way. Yeah, it was so evocative. I loved it. Such a prolific writer. I think Rachel Cusk is one of my favourite writers. Now, with that being said, I only have Transit here. I don't know where the other two are. I did read her Outline trilogy. It wasn't my favourite from her. The only thing is, whenever I read Rachel Cusk, it inspires me to write. So that's kind of why I kind of like reading her. Some of the stuff I don't understand because she is philosophical literary fiction. So some of the things I just don't understand. A lot of philosophy I don't get, but I try my hardest to understand it. So sometimes I don't get it, but I love her takes on life and her perspective, especially because she's a mother. I feel like she just is really good at describing motherhood. Notes on Heartbreak, 5 star. Just 5 star. It's just Annie Lord talking about her breakup. It's brilliant. It's so good, so realistic, so honest. I loved it so much. Now, Breast and Eggs, really good depiction of familial relationships, body image and the effect it has on women. It did go a bit slow for me. Yeah, I just thought it was a bit slow. So I would say 3 or 4 stars, 3.5 stars, I'd say. It wasn't my favourite. I wouldn't be like riding home about it, but it is still really beautiful writing. Anne Enright, again, literary fiction, such gorgeous writing, beautiful prose. There's so much underlined in here when I read it. It was one of those, again, that really inspires me to write, and I really want to read more of her books. You know, I don't get that a lot with authors sometimes, especially ones like Notes on Heartbreak and really good, actually, because it's about their own experience. I wouldn't trust another book that they write, if you know what I mean, unless it's about them again, you know, that kind of way. Because I think sometimes people are really good at writing about themselves, and then other people are really observant and good at writing about other people. And Anne Enright is really good at, feel like she's really observant. She has a really good understanding of the world and people and how they behave. So I love this book. Winner of the Man Booker Prize 2007. So that says all. 5 stars. The New Me by Hallie Butler. This is like 2 books that I read as well. Milk Fed and Tennis Lessons by Susanna Dickey, which I actually read over summer, but I don't have the book with me because I lent it to my mum. It's like anti-hero protagonist, but still unlikable, but also the same relatable. It's really weird and strange and feral, but like such a good story. And I always love characters like that and hearing about their stories, because they're not perfect. You know, they're talking about how shit they are and their actual thought process, which sometimes, you know, when we go through life ourselves, we have horrible thoughts. Then we're like, why do I think like that? I'm a horrible person. So that kind of, I don't know what genre that is. If anyone is, because I don't feel like I'm good at describing books. If anyone knows what genre that is, like anti-hero protagonist, like if you've read Tennis Lessons, Milk Fed and The New Me, you know what I'm talking about. They're just like feral dirty girls, but I love it. Then Seven Steeples, again, I found a bit slow, but I loved, like, it could have been shortened down into a 100-page novel. Like, nothing was really going on. It was more about the descriptions of nature and their relationship that I really liked, and because how it describes Ireland I really resonated with, and I loved that element of it. I wouldn't be like, oh, it's stunning, you know. Now, Neve Campbell, again, I love Neve Campbell's writing. This Happy was so good. And you know the way people are like, any time a female Irish author comes out with a book, everyone's like, the new Sally Rooney. Now, I don't say that. I don't think that's true for a lot of people. But if you like Sally Rooney, I feel like you will like Neve Campbell, because she's coming from a kind of like, she understands her own privileges and then other people's privileges. The way she writes about relationships, the kind of character she is very, very much reminded me of Marianne in Normal People. Really intelligent, but like is also subservient, feels like she's subservient to men. It literally says in the front, if you love Normal People, read this novel. Yeah, basically. Except I didn't like Normal People. I thought it was too frustrating how they communicated. She's a bit better at communicating. She's a bit older. But if you like Normal People, I feel like you will still like this. Small Pleasures, to be honest, I think I read this in 2022. I can't remember. But I know that I had given birth. I just keep thinking, had I given birth or not when I read this? And I definitely given birth after when I read this, but it could have been 2022. Anyway, loved this. 5 stars. Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers. The only way I can describe it is like, it's a cozy, it's a really good autumnal or winter read. Just the way she describes like mundane tasks around the house. I really liked it. Blueberries. So this was a memoir in the structure of short stories. They're like self-reflective memoirs or like analysis. Anyway, she's critiquing life basically. A lot of it I felt I just didn't understand it. I didn't get it, and it did seem, now I know I don't like the use of inaccessible and pretentious, but it did feel at times, there were some chapters now I loved, there were a lot of it I didn't understand. I literally, it was like, this person has too much time to think, you know, that kind of way, and maybe she's just too intelligent for me and I didn't get it. I wouldn't recommend this. It was like 2 or 3 stars. Honestly, it was a waste of my time. Eve Babbitt's, I love Eve Babbitt's, the way she writes about the 70s, sex, drugs, rock and roll, like, it's just everything I want in a book. 5 stars, loved that. The Year of Magical Thinking, I think I read this in 2022. I can't remember, but I know when baby was born. I think, or maybe she wasn't. Anyway, I think this was just too much of a sad read, because I was either pregnant or just given birth, and I was like, this is too much. But I love Joan Didion's writing, and I love her as a person. I think she's so creative, such a prolific writer. The subject matter, obviously, because she's writing about her own experience and her own grief, it was too real. So it was a hard read. But if anyone maybe has experienced grief, it might be comforting for you. I've never experienced great grief, but I was just really anxious at the time when I read it, so I don't think it was that helpful for me. Now, Megan Nolan, Acts of Desperation, so good. In the same sort of genre as Really Good Actually and Notes on Heartbreak, sort of. It's just talking about relationships and how we all feel pathetic in comparison to our boyfriend, or how we're always licking ours. Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I know a lot of people love this. Well, now, maybe I wasn't in the headspace to read it because I was going through a breakup, like at the start, and this is when I wasn't telling anyone that I was going through a breakup, and then this is obviously a love story, and I was just like, oh, so annoying. I was like, shut up. You think you're so great being in love. So it was a lot of like smoking cigarettes, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I didn't give it a chance. I think I was a bit too harsh on it, to be honest. So I'm going to give it 3 stars. Daddy by Emma Cline. I love Emma Cline. She wrote The Girls. This collection of short stories. So I wanted each one to be written out as its own novel. It was so good. I love Emma Cline and how she writes. Whoa, a lot of these are female authors. Are all of them? Wait. Oh no. What, Patrick McCabe. Educated by Tara Westover. If you pick up one book from this video, I would say Educated by Tara Westover. Oh my god, it was incredible. It was it was definitely the best book I read all year. So fucking good. Then a non-fiction, The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read. So good. Such a good parenting book. If there's any parenting books that you want to read, even if you are interested in child psychology or healing your inner child, it was so validating. And then Breakfast on Pluto by Patrick McCabe, such a funny book, so good. Patrick McCabe is obviously such a good writer. For books that I don't have with me right now, there's Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell, 5-star read. It's very much like the same writer as, you know, Delia Owen, who wrote Where the Crawdads Sing. The way they describe nature, just the world that they're living in, is so nice and peaceful, if you know what I mean. Obviously the book Hamlet isn't like it's not necessarily a peaceful book, but it makes you want to live off grid in a cabin, you know, and grow your own vegetables. The Dinner by Herman Coach, that it dragged a bit for me. It is a really good book though. It's like a thriller sort of, but in the middle it lags a little bit, but it's a really interesting read. What else? Young Mungo. That was too violent for me. That was on my Kindle. Loads of trigger warnings for that. It was oh my God, it was so graphic. I don't think I would actually recommend it to anyone unless you have really thick skin. Like I couldn't stomach it at all. Oh yeah, Snowflake. If you like Sally Rooney, you'll like this novel. It's another one of those. They talk, you know, mentions of Trinity, the differences between people who grow up in South Dublin versus not in Dublin in Ireland, like literally anywhere else in Ireland but South Dublin. I really enjoyed that. I wouldn't say it's everyone's cup of tea, but I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. You know those lads, and they try to write like there's supposed to be some sort of moral of the story, and I never understand what it is. It's like they're writing from a place of, it's like when men write about relationships and it's just so off base, as if they've never actually been in love before or never observed another woman before. No real development of the female characters. It's all just about how hard his life is because people are asking things of him. But if you've ever read your man, and he wrote Norwegian Wood, I remember I read Norwegian Wood in London. What's his name? Just his development, or the description, the depiction of female characters in his books, they're just like so lackluster and shite. And that's why I probably gravitate for female authors, because I can't resonate at all with men in books talking about their problems. I'm literally like, I don't care about this at all. The same with John Steinbeck. I don't care about your issues. What are you going to do? Start a war? You're going to fight someone? Is it? And they're like, oh, my life's so hard, just going to abuse someone now. So, yeah, I find it really hard. My level of compassion really doesn't stretch that far. I think it's very rare to find an author, a male author. That could be a really stupid opinion of me, because obviously I haven't given them enough of a chance. But I find it really difficult to read books by men. I'm just like, I don't get it. Okay, that's it. I'm going to leave my book club linked down below. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And then I'm going to start my psychology book club as well, but separately. But that one will probably be every 2 months rather than 1 month, because I want to do meetups and all. Or like, guys, I have so many ideas for it. Okay, bye.
Cannot paint. I have made so many paintings, though I don't wanna sing my songs to the wall for much longer. I don't wanna hear your lipstick talk for even longer. Saw a man afraid, to be honest. Saw a child in pink get embarrassed, though I don't wanna sing my songs to the wall.
In the new year and just having a baby in general, I'm really trying to reframe how I take criticism, because a lot of the times my first visceral reaction is like to take offense. Obviously, I think most people would, to be, you're attacking my character, whereas I'm focusing more on how people are saying things rather than what they're saying to me, because I actually do, and I get to that stage after a while. I get to the stage where I'm like, I really appreciate that. How do I describe it? Yes, keep me accountable, put me in my place. I love that, to be honest. The world would be such a shit place if we weren't holding each other accountable. Now, I agree with two things can be true at the same time. I think there's always going to be a better and a nicer way to say something, but you can't have it all, guys. I think a lot of my perspective on things shifted after I had a baby, because there would be things that it would be a hard disagree on, whereas now I'm like, if it makes her happy,
Absolutely. Do you know? So I wanted to talk as well about what I put on my story yesterday when I was like, stop expecting influencers to be political correspondents. No, obviously the way I view it is, I also think two things again can be true at the same time. I think that everyone with a platform does have a certain element of responsibility to the people that follow you. But if we're giving these people a platform to show us lifestyle, makeup, and fashion, whatever, the majority of people I follow, I'm not following them to find out my news or to find out what political opinion they have. So then randomly when something obviously huge happens, and I'm also of the opinion that I want everyone to care as much as me, but you also can't force people to care as much as you. I do think there's too much of a focus of what influencers' opinions are than actually tackling the problem at hand. I will say a lot of the information I was finding out, especially about boycotting, was through social media, because if you Google it, you're not really going to find a straightforward answer. But on social media, I would literally just I would look it up on TikTok or look up on Instagram, is so and so an Israeli company. A lot of it also was in from comments, and then I would cross-reference and look it up to try figure out why that person's, because it's hard to find resources from just a singular comment. Also understand where people are coming from when they want to hold influencers accountable so much, because it's obviously frustrating watching them just be like, just move on with their life when you're obviously so caught up in all the horrible things that are happening in the world. So I obviously understand where you're coming from, and I consume social media to escape, as a form of escapism, but also to partake in like current affairs at the same time. So I get it from both ends of the spectrum. I think I'm really lucky with my audience and the people that follow me. We're just kind of, people will still criticize me, even though sometimes I can be a bit defensive, obviously. I think most people can. But I also really appreciate that people will, talk to me if I've said something wrong at the same time, or just like have a conversation with me about it, because like I don't have enough friends for us all to have different opinions, if you know what I mean. Like I only have a small group of friends that sort of have similar opinions of me. Ellie, my sister, is really different, where she has friends, they all have really different opinions, whereas like all my friends would be liberal lefties. Well, Ellie kind of would have all sorts of friends, so it's nice to have conversations with people that I wouldn't otherwise in real life, because I don't meet that many people. There's very few things I feel proud of myself for, but I do feel really proud of how much work I'm putting in for her. But obviously I'm just terrified of like things going wrong or me fucking up, which is inevitable. But I also that's why I need to be able to take criticism so that I can apologise and then learn from the situation, which is the most valuable thing that you could do as a parent. And also I'm proud of myself for getting along with her daddy and us having a good relationship with each other, because I don't have that from my parents. I'm gonna go see my sisters today. It's also difficult, I found, when I first became a mum. Obviously the huge shift is that I'm seeing a lot less people every day. I don't have friends to relate to. I have mammy friends now, so I can relate. It's difficult if you're like in a dark place and you're telling yourself really mean things about yourself, because I can get really, really hard on myself, like most people can. But it also just gets so much worse if you're isolating yourself and you're not surrounded by the people that love you just for who you are, if you know what I mean. Like the low effort relationships, you know what I mean. Like me and my sisters, for example. Like I know they have to love me forever. It's good to spend time with them. So anyway, I'm going over to my mom's house today. Okay, I'm gonna finish my makeup now. Love you so much.